Welcome to the Bible Forum. I'm Warren Sprouse. We're here every night from 8 to 10 p.m., Sunday night, I should say, every Sunday night, on our website, thebibleforum.net. Come and join us in the chat room. I want to talk to you about our brave new world. Are you paying attention to what's going on? Have you heard about China's new social credit system? It's a technology-enabled, surveillance-based nationwide program designed to nudge citizens toward better behavior. The ultimate goal is, and they state it, quote, to allow the trustworthy to roam everywhere under heaven while making it hard for the discredited to take a single step, end of quote. This policy has been in place since 2014. The social credit system is a work in progress that should or could evolve by next year into a single nationwide point system for all Chinese citizens akin to a financial credit score. It aims to punish people for transgressions that can include membership in or support of groups or organizations unfavorable to the Chinese government. Can you say church? Failure to pay debts, excessive video gaming, criticizing the government, late payments, failing to sweep the sidewalk in front of your store or your home, smoking or playing loud music on trains, jaywalking and other actions deemed illegal or unacceptable by the Chinese government. It can also award points for charitable donations or even taking one's own parents to the doctor. Punishments can be harsh, including bans on leaving the country, bans on using public transportation, checking into hotels, hiring for high visibility jobs, or acceptance of children to private schools. It can also result in slower internet connections and social stigmatization in the form of registration on a public blacklist. China's social credit system has been characterized in one pithy tweet as, quote, authoritarianism gamified, end of quote. Now, these lists are publicly searchable on a government website called China Credit. The Chinese government also shares lists with technology platforms. So, for example, if someone criticizes the government on Weibo, their kids might be ineligible for acceptance to an elite school. Public shaming is also part of China's social credit system. Pictures of blacklisted people in one city were shown between videos on TikTok in a trial, and the addresses of blacklisted citizens were shown on a map in WeChat. Some Western press reports imply that the Chinese populace is suffocating in a nationwide Skinner box, presumably talking about B.F. Skinner, the psychologist famous for behavioral modification experimentation back in the 1940s and 50s. Suffocating in a nationwide Skinner box of oppressive behavioral modification. But some Chinese are unaware that this system even exists, and many others actually like the idea. One survey found that 80% of Chinese citizens surveyed either somewhat or strongly approved of the social credit system. I might add, as an aside, it even happens over here. I read a story, I think I even shared with you, of a young Chinese woman who's working over here, and she was walking to work every day, and she had one of those things that kept track of how many paces she took. And she said she had to do that because back home, if she wasn't doing this, she would lose credit or things would happen to her family, and she wouldn't have the standing. She's doing it here. They're monitoring her in China from her little wife. They know what she's doing. Can it happen here in America? Many Westerners are disturbed by a system like this. But a parallel system is developing in the United States, in part as a result of Silicon Valley and technology industry user policies and in part by surveillance of social media activity by private companies. And here are some of the elements of America's growing social credit system. Insurance companies. The New York State Department of Financial Services announced earlier this year that life insurance companies can base premiums on what they find in your social media posts. That Instagram picture showing you teasing a grizzly bear at Yellowstone with a martini in one hand and a bucket of cheese fries in the others with a cigarette in your mouth could cost you money. On the other hand, a Facebook post showing you doing yoga might save you money. Insurance companies have to demonstrate that social media evidence points to risk and not be based on discrimination of any kind. They can't use social points to alter premiums based on race or disability, for example. The use of social media is an extension of the lifestyle questions typically asked when applying for life insurance, such as whether you engage in rock climbing or other adventure sports. Saying no, but then posting pictures of yourself free soloing El Capitan could count as a yes. Do you know about Patron Scan? Patron Scan may be America's entry into the social credit system. This company called Patron Scan, sells 3 products: kiosk, desktop, and handheld systems, each one designed to help bar and restaurant owners manage customers. Patron Scan is a subsidiary of the Canadian software company Servall Biometrics. Its products are now on sale in the United States, Canada, Australia, and the United Kingdom. Patron Scan helps spot fake IDs and troublemakers. When customers arrive at a Patron Scan using bar, their ID is scanned. The company maintains a list of objectionable customers designed to protect venues from people previously removed for fighting, for sexual assault, drugs, theft, other bad behavior. All this, at least according to the website. A public list is shared among all Patron Scan customers. So someone who's banned by one bar in the U.S. is potentially banned by all the bars in the U.S., UK, and Canada. This applies to all who use the Patron Scan system for up to a year. Australia keeps a separate system. Judgment about what kind of behavior qualifies for inclusion on a Patron Scan list is up to the bar owners and managers. Individual bar owners can ignore the ban if they want to do that. Data on non-offending customers is deleted in 90 days or less. Also, Patron Scan enables bars to keep a private list that is not shared with other bars, but on which bad customers can be kept for up to 5 years. Patron Scan does have an appeals process, but it's up to the company to grant or deny those appeals. And then there's Uber, Airbnb. Uber and Airbnb are leaders in providing transportation and accommodation for travelers. Airbnb, a major provider of travel accommodation and tourist activities, bragged in March that it now has more than 6 million listings in its system. That's why a ban from Airbnb can limit travel options. Airbnb can disable your account for life, for any reason it chooses, and it reserves the right not to tell you why. The company's canned message includes the assertion, quote, "This decision is irreversible and will affect any duplicated or future accounts. Please understand that we are not obligated to provide any explanation for the action taken against your account," end of quote. The ban can be based on something the host privately tells Airbnb about something they believe you did while staying at their property. Airbnb's competitors have similar policies. It's now also easy to get banned by Uber. Whenever you get out of the car after an Uber ride, and I'm sure with Lyft it's the same way, the app invites you to rate the driver. And what many of us don't realize is the driver is also getting an invitation to rate you. Under a new policy announced in May of this year, 2019, if your average rating is significantly below average, Uber will ban you from their service altogether. Have you heard of WhatsApp? You can now be banned on WhatsApp if too many other users block you. You can also get banned for sending spam, threatening messages, trying to hack or reverse engineer the WhatsApp app, or using the service with an unauthorized app. Now WhatsApp is small potatoes in the United States, but in much of the world it's the main form of electronic communication. And not being allowed to use WhatsApp in some countries is as punishing as not being able to use the telephone system in America. And then there's social credit. Nobody likes antisocial, violent, rude, unhealthy, reckless, selfish, or deadbeat behavior. So what's wrong with using new technology to encourage everyone to behave? The most disturbing attribute of a social credit system is not that it's invasive, but that it is extra legal. Crimes are punished outside the legal system, which means no presumption of innocence, no legal representation, no judge, no jury, and often no appeal. In other words, it's an alternative legal system where the accused have fewer rights. Social credit systems are an end run around the pesky complications of the legal system. Unlike China's government policy, the social credit system emerging in the U.S. is enforced by private companies. If the public objects to how these laws are enforced, it cannot elect new rule makers. An increasing number of societal privileges related to transportation, accommodations, communications, the rates we pay for services like insurance are either controlled by technology companies or affected by how we use technology services. In Silicon Valley's rules are being allowed to use their services are getting stricter. And then there's Donald Trump. President Trump has signed on to a similar program right here in the United States. The Washington Post isn't making any statement, but sources told the Washington Post that Trump has reacted very positively to the proposal. The HARPA plan, according to Jeffrey Ling, lead scientific advisors on the project, would require enormous amounts of data and scientific rigor. Everybody would be a volunteer, he said. We're not inventing new science here. We're analyzing it so we can develop new approaches. The Daily Caller reported the White House declined to provide a statement, but sources told the Washington Post that Trump has reacted very positively to this proposal. A foundation founded by a close friend of Trump, Bob Wright, approached the president recently with a proposal for a project called Safe Home, or stopping aberrant fatal events by helping overcome mental extremes. This according to the Daily Caller. Google and Amazon have also not responded to requests for comment. The bottom line, if current trends hold, it's possible that in the future, a majority of misdemeanors and even some felonies will be punished not by Washington, D.C., but by Silicon Valley. It's clearly a slippery slope away from democracy and toward corporatocracy. In other words, in the future, law enforcement may be determined less by the Constitution and legal code and more by the end-user license agreements. You remember 40 years, 50 years ago, the stories, movies, others, about Big Brother, about people being controlled by the government, and how we have worked so feverishly and kept this in the forefront and so forth with our laws to make sure the government doesn't rise up and have this kind of authority. Well, here's something we never saw coming, but it has the same effect. And we volunteer to be part of it. Aren't we smart?